Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Deep Dive Diaries. In our previous episodes, we saw how to decode a client brief and how to craft a strong research proposal. Now that you know the why and what of a research study, it's time to move on to the how. Once you figure out that quantitative methodology is a right fit for the research, the next crucial skill at this stage is to design a strong quant questionnaire. In this session, we'll walk step by step through what makes a quant questionnaire effective, the common pitfalls to avoid, and how to design the questionnaire that captures high quality insights. A questionnaire is not just a list of questions, it is a carefully designed data collection tool. In quantitative research, its main goals are to capture consistent data from all respondents, to ensure that the data can be analyzed statistically, and to avoid bias and ambiguity in responses. Consider it to be a blueprint. If your questionnaire is solid, your entire research will stand on a strong foundation. Before jumping to writing questions, there are three key steps you need to remember. First is to understand the research objective. What exactly do we want to know? Second is to know your target audience. Who are we asking questions to? Third is to plan the flow. In what order we will ask questions to keep it logical and engaging. Remember, every question must link to the research objective. If it doesn't, consider removing it from the questionnaire. A good questionnaire generally follows this structure. First, you have the recruitment or a screening questionnaire that has an introduction and a screener section. Then you have a main questionnaire which starts with warm-up questions that have easy and non-sensitive questions to make the respondents comfortable, followed by core questions which addresses your research objective, and finally you have a demographic or good to know questions. This flow keeps the respondents engaged and minimizes dropouts. Not everyone qualifies to participate in the research. Only those matching the target profiles need to be recruited. The recruitment questionnaire helps us filter the audience. The key elements of a recruitment questionnaire are: first is the introduction. In the introduction part, you explain who you are, what is the purpose of the research, and also give assurance on the confidentiality of their information. For example, you can say, "Hi, we are conducting a short survey on consumer preferences. Your responses will remain confidential." Then you have screener questions, where you have demographic questions based on age, gender, and location. Then you also have behavioral screeners that is based on product usage and purchase habits. Moreover, you have quota control that helps in ensuring that the correct proportion of audience is reached out to. If a respondent does not fit the profile, they are politely thanked and screened out. There are a few points that you need to remember while drafting a screener questionnaire. First is to ensure that you keep it short. Just ask questions that are enough for filtering. Second is to avoid revealing the qualifying criteria to prevent false answers. And third is to remember that you always need to randomize a brand list to avoid bias. Once a respondent is in, the main questionnaire captures all the information related to research objective. The main questionnaire starts with warm-up questions that are easy to answer and helps in building respondent comfort. For example, you ask questions like, which dairy brands come to your mind first? This is followed by core questions that are directly linked to your research objectives. There could be questions based on unaided and aided awareness, consideration and trial, usage pattern, satisfaction and NPS or Net Promoter Score, reasons for rejection or lapsing, and so on. This is finally followed by demographics or good to know information questions. Any demographic question that are not covered at recruitment stage can be placed at the end. They help you in analyzing differences between the groups. Quantitative questionnaire rely on structured question formats. First, you have close-ended questions where respondents have to choose from a list of predefined options. For example, you can ask questions on which of these brands have you used in past 1 month. Then you have rating scale questions which measure opinions on a scale. For example, rate your satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 5. Then you have ranking question where respondents provide the order of their preference. For example, rank these features in order of their importance. Then there is multiple choice questions where the respondents can select single or multiple options from the list provided. Avoid long open-ended questions in quant questionnaires as they are hard to code and analyze. Here are some golden rules for writing effective questions. First is to be clear. Use simple everyday language so that every respondent understands the question in the same way. Second is to avoid double-barreled questions. Ask about only one topic at a time to avoid confusion and ensure clarity in responses. Third is to avoid leading questions. Keep your questions neutral so that don't influence or push respondents towards a particular answer. It is also important to choose the right scale for scaling questions. For example, in case of agreement or satisfaction scales, you need to use Likert scale which has a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 7. In case of net promoter score or likelihood to recommend, you should consider using numeric scales that range from 0 to 10. There are also frequency scales that have daily, weekly, and monthly options. Ensure that you keep your scaling options mutually exclusive and exhaustive. There are certain best practices that you need to follow while drafting a main questionnaire. First is you need to keep questions clear and objective driven. Use consistent scales in scaling questions. Place sensitive or personal information at the end. Avoid leading or double-barreled questions. Never launch a questionnaire before testing it. Pilot test it with a small sample. Check for flow, clarity, and timing. Also check for confusing words, missing options, or logical errors in skip options. Refining and making small changes here saves huge problems later. These are some common mistakes that you can avoid. Making the questionnaire way too long, using jargon that the audience won't be able to understand, using or asking sensitive questions too early, not aligning with research objectives. To recap, start with clear objectives. Keep the questionnaire short, logical, and easy to follow. Use simple language and ask unbiased questions. Test before launch. Remember, a recruitment questionnaire ensures the right audience, while the main questionnaire ensures relevant high-quality data. With practice, designing a quant questionnaire will become second nature. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Deep Dive Diaries for more such content. And as always, keep researching, keep growing.